Well, it's been a couple days, but the Ohio State Buckeyes were just absolutely spectacular on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl against the Oregon Ducks. From start to finish on offense, defense, and special teams, our Buckeyes absolutely dominated the game and punched their ticket to the college football playoff semifinal. We get into the film room and break it all down this morning on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All-Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
Well, welcome in and good morning to everybody on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast. Anthony Moeglin alongside my partner, former Buckeye offensive tackle Kevin Woidke, and this is one of the most excited I've been. This is the most excited I've been for a film room episode that we have done, Kev, because you and I haven't gotten to talk at all since the Buckeyes dismantled the Oregon Ducks on Wednesday afternoon out in Pasadena because that game was out of control, off the charts from start to finish. Ohio State put their foot on the gas pedal and didn't pull off until that clock hit triple zeros, and the result is they just totally dominated the Oregon Ducks. Kev, what was your thoughts while you watched it and watched your Buckeyes just absolutely tear it up on Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, so I actually landed just before kick and was watching the end. I took off and I thought the Texas game was over, and then landed and it was still going on. And then I'm watching the Texas game, and I get a group me message from all my buddies from college, or all one big group me, and it was that's a way to start the game. Then I flip over, we're already up 7-0. I'm like, what just happened? And then I'm like replaying it. I mean, it was just from start to finish. It looked like they were going a million miles an hour. And it was just a lot of fun to watch them go out there and play. Like, this is the team we thought we would see all year. And it's good to see that we're finally seeing it in the playoff.
Yeah, that's been kind of the conversation after kind of the dust has settled on this, is like, not even talking about the Michigan game per se, but even some of the weeks leading up to that, like this version of this Ohio State team, like, would have beaten everybody on their schedule by like 100 points. Like if this was here, and that's part of the beauty of a football season, right? You just continue to get better and better and better. But Kev, what I've been most impressed about is how the approach on the offensive side of the ball has changed, and the trust that this group has in Will Howard, and it feels like that has come over the past couple of weeks, but their willingness to just say, screw it. I mean, they only had a couple rush attempts in the first half. We'll get into all the details here in a little bit, but they've just been like, kind of, screw it. Hey, we're going to throw it to our best players. And when everyone's hitting on all cylinders and Will's accurate and J.J. Smith is just the best player in America, like, this team and this offense cannot be stopped, it feels like.
No, and then you have the running backs. It was a Travion Henderson show, but Quinton had a lot of good hard runs. It was just this offense was finally firing at the same level that the defense was, and it was pretty evident. The defense has been stellar since the Oregon game, and the offense has kind of tried to find its groove, and it finally found it against Tennessee and kept it going versus Oregon. Let's hope it can keep rolling this way versus Texas.
Dude, that's a perfect way to put it, because you're exactly right. You know, the defense has been pulling this thing along, waiting for the offense to come along, and it feels like the offense is finally here. And in this new age college football world with this playoff, like, you don't have to be playing your best football in October and even into November. You have to be playing your best football at the end of November and into December and into January now, because that's when the money gets made here. You know, now it's
right.
You got to win 4 games in the playoffs just as an NFL season. You know, you got to be peaking at the right time, and it certainly feels like these Buckeyes are starting to do so. So as everyone's jumping in here this morning, first of all, we really appreciate you guys coming in. First timers, thank you for being here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you're watching on Twitter, hit that follow button as well. We got content for you galore on our YouTube page, on our Twitter, on our written website, si.com/college/Ohio State. But as you're watching this morning, hit into that comment section and give us your thoughts as we dive into the tape here. We'll pull it up right now and jump right in, right where the Buckeyes got things going. And one of the things that, Kev, you and I have called for at pretty much every game this season. I can think back to, even in August and early September, we're like, please, for the love of God, start fast. Like, quit playing with your food and just go and get off the bus, get out of the locker room, and just go. And this Ohio State team takes the opening kickoff. The very first play of the game, I was thinking of you when this happened. G. Scott up the sidelines for a massive gain to get this thing going.
And absolutely. You see Hinsman with a low snap there. That was common towards the end of last year. He's just got to get it. He's got to get it right. But, as long as he's blocking, okay, I'm fine with it. It hasn't burned us yet. But the other thing you're seeing now is, Will Howard taking advantage of. They obviously watch the tape themselves and were like, okay, we always kept taking these undershots. Let's pump fake it and take a shot down the field. So, G. Scott goes in motion. They do the pump fake to the screen. Everybody bites on it. And then you hit the best tight end in college football over the top. I think he catches it after a 10-yard game, then runs for another, 10, 15.
Yeah, 40-yard pass play to start to get things going here. And a couple of the key things that I see here and something that like fires me up is first of all, the respect that Oregon gives to the Ohio State passing attack on the first play of the game. They're only rushing 3 guys. Like, this is a 3-man rush, and then this guy is like kind of like a late add-on here. But up front, Ohio State does what they need to do, right? You get a double team on the bottom of your screen here. Donovan Jackson, we'll talk about him all game long. He was awesome. Right? Awesome. And he's been awesome. He's gotten so much better playing left tackle all throughout the year. But you get a little pass off inside. Hinsman gets some help with, I don't know if it's Saravold or if it's Montgomery. Nope, that's Tegra. So 0 for 3 there, or 1 for 3, I should say. But you get a little help inside. And then, like you said too, like, watch this linebacker here. I'll take these off the screen so we can run this through. But watch the linebacker right here when G. Scott comes in motion, and he's like, watch it right there. He's like, I'm gonna get hands on because he's gonna block me. Like, his head's down. Like, this guy's head is at the ground. He's like, I'm getting ready to get blocked. Instead, Will doesn't even really need to pump fake it because the guy he's trying to influence is just influenced himself. He gets himself way out of the play. Perfect execution, perfect throw, and a perfect way to start the game to get just all the momentum on your side.
100%.
And then, all right, so next play, incomplete pass, so it's 2nd and 10. And then we come back, and Kev, this is one thing that we saw a lot in the Tennessee game. Actually, we saw it 3 times in the Tennessee game, and we called it out. The first one, again, was to Jeremiah Smith, where Ohio State uses the threat of the run to create a big play. And against Tennessee, Jeremiah they kind of sneakily did it. They started Jeremiah on the line of scrimmage, right where Emeka is right now on my cursor. Instead, Jeremiah is now in the backfield, and they're going to do just a little play action fake inside and then bring Jeremiah on that slide route that we talked about last week into the flat. And when it's executed to perfection as this is, he catches this thing behind 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. This is a 46-yard touchdown pass that the ball is thrown literally 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter. When you get it to number 4, you let him go be crazy, break a bunch of tackles, throw up the peace sign, and get into the end zone.
Absolutely. I think it was an RPO, Anthony, because it looks like everyone's blocking initially and the offensive line is downfield. He could have handed it off, but there's nobody covering Jeremiah. You're reading that. You're reading if that's safety, which if you go back to the top, I don't know if it's a corner or a safety. So you're reading if Will's reading that guy right there. And if he comes in to make a play on the run, he pulls it and throws it over the top. Wait, I don't know who Will's reading here based on his head. Maybe he's reading that inside linebacker. But either way, he pulls it here, and rightfully so. But, even if he hands it off, this is an 8-yard run.
Yeah.
Everyone's got – the offensive line has everything sealed up. You have Donovan Jackson in space ready to pull around the edge. You have G. Scott, and then if you do throw it, look at G. Scott sealing it off. I think that's Carnell Tate who's about to seal off the corner here. And it's just, this is what we didn't really see at the beginning of the year, but we're seeing it a lot more. We didn't really see it at all last year. They're getting out in space and blocking. And it's the wide receivers are taking a pride in it. The tight end's taking a pride in it. G. Scott's holding this block for,
holy cow.
is that 7-8 yards?
Let's see. He attaches right here. He attaches on the there, and he
watch 8 yards, just stays with him, doesn't hold, doesn't do anything, and then Jeremiah makes one guy miss, and we're off to the races.
It's such good eyes by you here, because this is definitely a run, and you see it right here as Josh gets that second level, right, and it is blocked up to be a run. So bang, you are dead nuts on this, and just using that threat there. Here's your triple option that you've seen, right? Will could hand this off. He could pull it and run. He could pull it and give it to Jeremiah. Right. This is 3 options here. This is new school Army Navy type offense here. But the result is just there's no risk on this play at all. Like, there's zero risk here for any type of danger. The reward is a 46-yard touchdown pass to open things up. And you're right, man. This is what it looks like when 11 guys do their job at once on offense. It's a symphony, man, because this is perfect. If they would have handed it off, it would have been successful, like you said. Instead, they pass it, and G. Scott blocks his guy into the bathroom, and so does Carnell, and then Jeremiah makes his one guy miss, and it's strike up the band, man, because that's perfect stuff. That's great eyes by you there. So Ohio State's offense gets it going. It's a 3-play, 75-yard drive that takes 59 seconds. They kick the ball off with 14 minutes and 1 second to go on the clock. It happened fast, man. You guys were all watching it back at home. But the avalanche that happened was insane. And this game was over by 6 p.m. Eastern time. Because a lot of that was to do with how this defense operated as well. In the first play of the Oregon drive, Cody Simon, tackle for loss. This guy, he obviously got the player of the game, but he was out of his mind. 11 tackles, 7 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, and 1 pass breakup that should have been a pick six that we'll get to in a little bit. But he gets it going on the first play, making the tackle for loss.
Absolutely. And what you notice here is, look at the line of scrimmage. The D lineman, doesn't get moved. Mm-hmm. Like, these guys are either in the backfield or JTT is stalemating at the line. The only time the offensive line moves on and then off the line of scrimmage is to the second level. This is how you stop the run, is you move the line of scrimmage on offense and you hold the line of scrimmage on defense, is how you win any road or bowl game. And that's where that's kind of where it all starts. Like, look at Jack. Like, how do you expect anybody to run through? I mean, he's running through a hole horizontally. Yeah. Like, that's the only hole he has is running horizontally instead of running vertically. And then you have Cody Simon filling that gap like a man out of hell. And
dude, and also too, look at Tyleik Williams here. Like right. I would say Jack probably, maybe if they're being critical, I would probably say he's a touch too far upfield, but it doesn't matter because Tyleik is right here. So like the cutback is crushed because Tyleik's there, and then Ty's right behind it. So even if he were a superhero and tried to cut it all the way back, bang, that's all eaten up. And then bang, right there, Cody's flying in like a bat out of hell, like you said. And I mean, that's just a perfectly executed play on the first play of the game. And one of the themes that I want you guys to watch for as we go through this tape today is the aggression that Ohio State took to the football. Like, anytime there was an Oregon guy, I talked about it in our post-game show immediately after the game, but they were coming to the ball with really, really bad intentions and like hitting, absolutely just crushing these dudes from Oregon. And it paid throughout the game. Like, by the end of the game, Oregon wanted no part of the Ohio State defense, and for good reason. Ohio State was out there just absolutely crushing dudes. So they end up going 3 and out. It was 3 just good defensive plays, and they punt it back to Ohio State. A good punt gets them backed up, and then the Jeremiah Smith show continues. Will Howard throws it. This is probably a ball you shouldn't throw. This should have been intercepted, right? This should have been picked off. Instead, it's a 30-yard gain. This was out of control, man.
I mean, it really was. We use out of control a lot, but I mean, this was. The one thing I do want to highlight here is looking at the offensive line. I mean, for a kid who didn't get a lot of snaps, Luke Montgomery locks up this defensive tackle pretty well. That's a big boy too, with longer arms. Like, he is fully extended. And then Donovan Jackson, now that's just a pocket. Like, I mean, Josh Fryer did a jump set, it looks like, which is why he isn't too far back downfield. But, I mean, Hinsman's got his eyes. Double T gets beat here. Hinsman's got his eyes. I think he probably comes off and takes this, if he does. And, I mean, look at that. Oh, that's Austin. I'm sorry, that wasn't Luke Montgomery. That's Austin in there. It's just fun to see this offensive line clicking again. Like they were at the beginning of the year, and then after all the injuries, they're back, which is awesome.
It's amazing. And this guy, I mean, we're going to highlight him any chance we get. This Donovan Jackson is we talked about it, man. To go from if he was just a tackle in general and he was playing right tackle to go to left tackle, that's hard enough. He was playing guard and then goes out to play left tackle, where your whole responsibility, your whole life changes responsibility wise. And then it's now reversed. So not only do you have to eat cereal with your left hand, you have to do it backwards, right? It's absolutely insane what he's been able to do. I don't know if you've ever flipped sides before, but I cannot get over the fact that he flips sides, flip positions, and then is doing it at such a high level. Yeah, no,
I was the one guy who had to flip sides all the time, both in high school and in college, just because whenever someone got hurt, I'd get thrown in there to get my face beat in during practice. So I was everywhere other than center. But no, it was it definitely wasn't easy. Someone asked me last weekend actually how I rated, I'd rather be in a 3-point stance as a guard, 2-point stance as a tackle, and then how comfortable I felt on each side and each stance. And it's just, it's funny to see Donovan out there dominating just so quickly and so fluidly. Like NFL level, Jedrick Wills hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just one example of it. So, I'm excited to watch him keep playing. It's going to be fun, especially this year and on Sundays.
Yeah, and just you see this, and this just shows you what this group's doing from just an entire offensive perspective. Everyone is playing with that confidence that we talked about, and from a route perspective here, obviously with a great pocket, you can do a lot of things, but you get a sail concept, which is what this is, or a smash concept. You're getting G. Scott into the flat, who's taking the flat defender, and you see him trail, and then Jeremiah gets on this post route. Or it kind of flattens out and becomes more of that sail concept. But the rule of a quarterback, you should never throw this into this cover 2-ish look, right? This 2 shell, because in theory, this should be picked off. If this ball is down at all, even just a little bit, it gets intercepted. Instead, he throws it up all the way to the top and 4 goes and makes a highlight reel play. The best part about it is, I know you've seen it for sure, but this guy right here, feel bad for the kid. He thinks it's a PBU. He rolls incomplete. No, it's not. It is not incomplete. Number 4 is
my favorite part about that catch is if you go to the end of it, if you go to the catch, look at number 23 on our sideline. Number 23 right there points at him. Like, you can tell everybody was fired up across the board. Like they all wanted a piece of this Oregon team after that loss. I mean, he's got a towel in his hand. He's got eye paint on. That kid's probably not seeing the field today, but he's all ready to go, and he's pointing at literally everybody. We had that was one of the best parts we had to walk on. Is you had just the same amount of energy. You were out there going nuts. It was a blast, and that was your job as a walk-on Saturdays, was to bring the energy and make all those guys feel bad about a freshman making them look silly.
Yeah, look at this. All the coaches around there.
You got Coach Mick. You got Coach maybe Key. You got Pantone, the recruiting menace right there. You got old teammate Logan Hiddle with his hand up. Shout out Logan. And it's just fun to go out there and watch. I think that's Coach Day's son next to the guy in the orange hat. I mean, it was right in front of everybody. Anyone who wanted to see it could, and it was a lot of fun.
It's so good, man. And yeah, I mean, this is still early in the game too, right? So it is not a blowout yet. And right now it's like, everyone in the stadium is, first of all, is like, what is Jeremiah Smith going to do today? And should he just go pro after the season? And then from Ohio State perspective, you're like, holy cow, this may get ugly. We're on the cusp of a 30-piece here, and little did we know what was to come. All right, so after that catch, moving it up a little bit more, get it to 1st and 10. And this is First and 10 from the 42-yard line, and inside the 50-yard line, from about the 35, I'd say 37 to the 50, is called the shot zone. In some way, shape, or form, whoever your coach was had probably different names for it. But if you've got some good momentum, you want to be inside the 40-yard line or at the 40-ish. And this is shots. Like, you're going to take a deep one here. And in the film review we did, when we looked at the Penn State game last week, we noticed that when you spread these guys out, they really show you what they're going to do from a defensive perspective. They get into a shell and they don't really get out of it. And I commented on it. Ohio State, the middle of the field is wide open. Penn State took advantage of it with the running back. Remember the running back pipe route up the center of the field for a similar touchdown. Well, Ohio State does this here in a different way. These corners, right, you condense the bottom of your screen. This corner is in zone zone posture. His eyes are inside. This corner for sure is in zone posture, eyes inside. So what that tells me as a quarterback, you're getting a middle of the field open coverage, right, where that middle of the center of the field's open, and then this safety is going to get off the hash here. This safety is going to get off the hash here, and this linebacker or nickel defender is going to be that Tampa 2 guy who's responsible for the deep center. Well, then it just becomes one-on-one between number 2, who's going to be an all pro type of cat next year in the league, versus a linebacker and or nickel corner, probably a nickel guy wearing number 3. But this is advantage Buckeyes 10 times out of 10. Unlike the throw against Tennessee where Will missed it just a touch short, this ball is ripped. This ball is perfect, and it hits Emeka right on the number 2, and he catches this thing, and it's fireworks for the Buckeyes.
I mean, you see that I think it's the nickel corner or slot corner there. At the end of the play, is just like, what else can I do? There's nothing else you can do. This was as perfect of a pass you could ever see. I mean, he was maybe a half a second early with his swat, but that's it. And then he finishes the route, he finishes the touchdown, and then he's shrugging his shoulders. Like, the offensive line, it was a play action. They gave it up a little bit early that it wasn't going to be a run here because the tackles jump right up. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing worse. There's nothing bad there. Let it play out a little bit more. I just want to see if if you see, well, Josh did a good job but that's called a TE twist. So between Josh and Austin there, the goal of that end is to knock the hip of the guard so that the guard can't pick him up on the twist, and then the tackle should instinctively fold over the top and stay on that twisting D tackle over the top, and you should have a one-way go. You should have a two-way go. Mm-hmm. But Josh stayed on the more dangerous guy because he knew he messed up, didn't punch the guy enough. Austin got caught up, and he stayed on that guy inside. It gave Will just enough time because that defense tackle's coming in hot too, and gave him just enough time to deliver. I think perfect pass, and it was awesome. I mean, that was that play. I remember watching it. I'm sitting at Tree House with my buddies Phil, Kevin, and Brendan, and I'm like, "Where's this ball going?" Like, I thought it was going to be picked, and then because I saw the 2 safeties in the middle, and I don't know what happened there. Why number 5 was so shallow on this? I think that's probably an MA out of him. Yeah. And Emeka was just hit him in stride, and it was perfect.
Well, to answer your question or a thought that I have, if we had the all 22, we'd be able to see it for sure. But here's Jeremiah, right? At this point in the game, Jeremiah's got 3 catches for like 90 yards in a score. And it's like, all right, we need to be locked in on this guy. I would also say, too, watch Will's eyes. If you can see this here, his eyes are going to lock on number 5. So he does a really good job he knows that this safety is already out leveraged. This one where my cursor's at is already out leveraged by just from an alignment perspective from Emeka. So he knows this guy isn't going to be a factor. So he's got to move this cat off the hash or down, however he moves him. So he uses his eyes here right off the play fake. You can see him looking left, and then he takes the top of his drop, snaps right to the middle. And actually, Kev, it's a good point you make because this ball actually does get I had a screenshot of it. This ball does actually get poked by 3. He gets his hand on it, but Emeka's insane. And this ball's actually where I pause it right now is actually kind of bouncing, and Emeka just snatches it right to his chest and gets it in. You can tell he doesn't have it like a normal catch. He's got it where the ball was actually like sideways, and he like pinned it to his chest. It's pretty awesome, man. It was just unbelievable throw. And I remember my jaw was on the floor when because we were pretend my line of sight was coming from this angle right here.
Yep.
And I kind of watched the whole thing happening. I'm like, oh my God. And it was a perfect ball, perfect throw. It was awesome.
No, I mean, Puff Johnson said it perfectly in our chat, and Will Howard just absolutely balled out.
Yeah. It's 2 in a row, man.
Only way to put it.
Dude, it's 2 in a row. It's 2 in a row. And if he's had this in the tank the whole time, it's like, first of all, it makes you scratch your head about that one game. And then the rest of it, you're like, he just needed the confidence to know that he could do this. And now he's 2 in a row. And we'll talk Texas here in about 30 minutes, I'm sure. But you got to be feeling really good about how your quarterback's playing. So if you're Oregon right now, and I think they cut to Dan Lanning a number of times of him just being like, what the heck is happening? Because there is like 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. You haven't had a first down. Ohio State has just ripped the top off of your defense. You haven't done anything to slow them down, and you're down 14-0. We go here. They drop back. A nice job. I think this Ferguson kid's actually pretty good. But gets a good first down in their first down, right? They went 3 and out. They were down 7-0, 3 and out. Now they're down 14-0. They finally get their first down, and then the Bucks answer that by getting them off the field here. And I actually think Oregon had something dialed up here, because this feels to me like it was like a hook and ladder type play, because you're going to see Ferguson come inside and actually get a block, and this receiver runs a hook route inside, and then this running back is flying up the sidelines. You'll see what I mean here. There's the block there for Ferguson. There's the catch, and I think, if my instincts are telling me right, this was supposed to be a pitch to the running back at some point, because he's flying up there doing nothing, just kind of in the way. But it didn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered regardless. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 Buckeyes in spot, ready to make a play and get off the field.
Absolutely. I mean, they might have tried to dial something up, but Sonny Styles sniffed it out. And when you got a safety playing linebacker that's that size, I mean, there's nothing really you can do. Obviously, the kids saw it fresh off the gate. That number 1 does the hitch route. He sees Sonny standing right there when he turns around. He's like, all right, well, this isn't going to work. I got to just turn up field. He almost stepped out of bounds right there. And then he gets thrown out of bounds by Latham.
Yeah, and Lathan's the guy we'll get to. He's got a couple plays here coming up. He played awesome. Like, if it wasn't for Cody, Lathan would have been the player of the game. He was fantastic all game, really just playing with his hair on fire and trying to make it happen. So, all right, so Oregon ends up punting, giving the ball back to Ohio State. You can see Ohio State's backed up. And now this felt like an opportunity for Oregon to, like, settle the game down. Like, okay, they force a 3 and out. They flip the field position and get things off, get off the mat a little bit and kind of try to stay in the game. Instead, Ohio State just drops back, throws one up to number 4. This is a great throw here, man. And Will does great with his eyes and drops an absolute dime. Like, it didn't even need to be Jeremiah on this one. Anybody's making this catch, but awesome throw on, especially in this big high leverage situation here on 3rd down.
Right. They looked like they were bringing a blitz. They ended up doing another twist here. If you look at the bottom of the D line, you'll see it. That's called a E over T there, because the tackle goes first and the E loops over the top. Because they're on different levels, it's a little stagnant, but that's where, we slid into it perfectly. Austin and Josh have their guys locked up at the top of the screen. I mean, and then he just delivers it to the only guy who's open. It seems like if he held it another second, I don't know who that is at the top of the screen. If it's Carnell or something, it looks like he might have been open. No, wait, keep running a little bit more. There. It looks like Carnell is open right there at the 30-yard line, if he holds on to it a little bit more. But if it looked like that safety committed to Jeremiah and just didn't have the speed to get over there to cover him, which I am so rattled they were not double covering him all day.
Yeah.
But that was their choice. We'll see how teams adjust going forward. But the other thing is, if you double cover Jeremiah, that means you're leaving either Carnell Tate or Buka in single coverage, and those guys can burn you very, very easily too.
Dude, it's a pick your poison, and this is a great example of it. I think you make a great point. I'd even noticed that Carnell was running up the sideline too. It was like, straight go ball, straight will move the safety whatever way he wants to go, move him with your eyes, and then flip and throw the other one. Like, NFL player right here, NFL player right here, and then potential superstar down here. Good freaking luck, man. I don't envy anybody trying to dial up a trying to dial up a game plan against these guys. And the important part for me is that, okay, you start the game, fireworks, right? Boom, bombs over Baghdad. We're flying. And then on drive number 3, you have to convert 2 tough third downs. That was that first third down. And then here's 3rd and 5. Again, this is another opportunity where Ohio State would have potentially punted the football. But instead, Emeka Egbuka runs a sick little route here. Same formation that we ran a little bit ago to score a touchdown, right, up the seam this way. But Oregon defends it a little bit differently. Middle of the field closed, 1 safety up top, knowing you're getting man-to-man coverage. Look how different these postures look. This is man. Yep. This is man. He'll turn in and be man. So you know you're getting man-to-man coverage. And that allows Emeka right here to run a nasty little route where he fakes like he's going out, stops, comes in. And now these dudes are running into each other, and this becomes a huge game.
Absolutely. And great, unbelievable block by referee you there.
Yeah, baby. One of us.
Great. Love to see that.
Textbook.
He's been absent all year, hasn't really done much all year, but he finally showed up in the biggest moment when we needed him. Really appreciate that there. You got to go back to Will Howard here. I mean, you saw it last year where it would completely throw off who's that Syracuse kid?
McCord.
Oh, that one. Yeah. It would completely throw him off here. And Will is just seasoned. Bad snap. That's fine. Not going to phase me. Picks it up, throws it over the top. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest difference. People are like, well, what's the difference between Will Howard? I think that it's an intangible like that, where he isn't phased. He's used to it. I guarantee he had some bad snaps at Kansas State. I mean, I can almost guarantee that. Didn't watch any of his film, but it's Kansas State. There's had to be more than a few, but that's where it's just interesting to see the progression of our offense when we got a new quarterback in there.
Dude, it's amazing too, because you can't see it from this perspective, but they run another stunt, another twist down low, and 17 they do it really well. 17 comes tight off the butt, and this is staring in the face of you're staring right down the barrel of a gun. And from a quarterback's perspective, 1, that's not easy to do, and 2, you got to stick in there, man. And you're going to get a hit, you're going to take a hit, but you also know you're going to convert a third down. Excuse me, you're going to convert a third down if you stand in there. And he does that accurately. And then if you're accurate with the football, like we've seen it enough where maybe this ball misses a little to the backside of Emeka, where he has to stop his momentum catch and just tuck down and get a first down. But when you're accurate with it, this is called a runner's ball. You catch it and he can run with it. He gets up the field and gets 10 more yards. And now again, Buckeyes are rolling. They're into scoring territory. They end up kicking a field goal there. But that first quarter, as we get to this, I mean, that's all the first quarter. Like that's
right.
It, 17-0 first quarter. They came out of the gate strong. But Kevin, to your point on a couple times, like they were playing like 11 as one. Like 11 guys were executing the way they needed to, from guard to tackles to center to running backs to wide receivers to quarterback. When everybody was clicking like they were, it seems freaking hard to stop, man.
They are. I mean, and then you have the defense that it's lockdown D. Mike Afty said it perfectly in the chat. I mean, it was a lockdown D from the Buckeyes. It was just incredible to watch. I mean, we see it here, but it's also, I mean, just all across the board that they were getting pressure on the D line. Jack Sawyer and JTT were playing like we thought they would play all year. I mean, you had Caden Curry in there also cycling in, and he was just going crazy. Yeah. Like, it's a special group. The only way to put it.
It's awesome, and we appreciate, again, everybody jumping in. Keep jumping in that comment section, letting them rip here, because we're in the second quarter, and just watch Lathan Ransom. I mean, this is unbelievable. He's 10 yards off the ball, 1st and 10. Mm-hmm. Watch this hit, 1 yard past the line of scrimmage. He comes in, man on a mission. I mean, this is the type of stuff that, like, you put on film. This is the first one where everyone sits down in the big meeting room. It's the whole team in there. You haven't split up to your offense, defense, or your position groups, and you show, I don't know, coaches show 5 or 6 plays that were amazing. This one's on that cut up, because he flies in here, bang, makes a tackle against a running back who had a great game against them last time, and just says, no, this isn't happening today. We are hitting all game long.
I mean, yeah, like that play right there was probably some physics professor knows better than me, but they hit each other with equal force and just went straight down. I think that might have been the hit that knocked 20 out of the game because he was out for the second half, their leading rusher, and Lathan, he's been doing this for 2-3 years. It's unreal. That's just who he is. And he triggered on it. He read it. People talk about Caleb Downs' ability to read and register plays. That's a great example of Lathan doing it as well.
Lathan Ransom, 7 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 1 TFL. Special. And you felt really good for him. He tweeted it after the game, but 2 years ago is when he got hurt. He had a big injury on that same very field. And for him to come back and play as well as he did, what a cool redemption story for him. But from just, hey, he played his butt off. He was awesome. He was awesome, exactly what the Buckeyes needed. So a third down here. This is one where I think Ohio State kind of gets caught. And sometimes when you're playing the number 1 team in the country, this kind of stuff will happen. Ohio State decides to bring some pressure, and I'm good with it. But Oregon uses some motion and uses a crosser route to get open and convert a 3rd and 6 here. But nothing that's wrong with this. It's just Ohio State dialed up some heat, didn't get home. Oregon blocked it up pretty well. Gabriel, give him credit. He battled all game and stood in there, made a nice completion.
Yeah, I mean, if he puts on his numbers, that kid, I mean, we saw it against us the first time. He can make plays in space. Mm-hmm. It was just a little bit off. For how accurate Will Howard was, it seemed like Dylan Gabriel was just a half a step off. Mm-hmm. And there's a great example of it right there. I don't know if we'll see many more of them, but that was one of the ones I noticed.
Yeah, it's a good point. We talked about a runner's ball just a second ago. This is a good example of a not runner's ball, right? You have to go make a spectacular catch. He gives him an accurate ball. You never know. You never know how that one ends up. All right, here we go. Next third down, 3rd and 8. They just convert a 3rd and 6. We heated them up, brought some pressure last time. We do a little sim pressure here, right? We have a bunch of guys up on the line of scrimmage, and then we bring a blitz off the edge, and then you get some guys dropping out. So 2 guys come off the edge, and then Jack drops out, and then Sonny flies this way. Now watch this hit. I'll just play it straight, man. Bang! That's something. These boys were hitting on Wednesday. This was awesome.
Oh yeah, this is a blown cover. This is a very badly blown protection here because another half a second and Cody is leveling Dylan Gabriel. But I mean, we brought good pressure there, and yeah, it was just I was afraid because everybody is whenever you see a hit like that it was going to be some form of targeting. But after the end of the Texas game, I am yet again lost of to what targeting is. But you know what? It's fine. But I mean, here they hit him right in the shoulder pads, and this kid, talk about getting high and low at the same time. But I mean, you had Sonny Styles over the top, and is that who's number 7 there?
Sonny and Hancock coming in below.
Is that Hancock? Okay, yeah.
It's a name we haven't had to call in a while, but this right here, there's a couple things that are really good. You point out the Cody running free off the edge. That forces Gabriel to speed up, right? And when he's forced to speed up, he gets inaccurate, right? And that's not just him. It's any quarterback. But this ball is inaccurate. This right here, this feeling, and I know this is very blurry, but anytime a receiver has to overextend over the middle of the field, this is as scary as it gets because you could break every single rib, spleen, whatever, and you could see him kind of crunch up like that. And this is a absolute kill shot for all these guys. And credit to both Sonny and Hancock here. For Sonny especially, his head is totally out of it. There's no, even like you said, we all thought the same thing, big hit, they're going to throw some kind of a flag. But this is as textbook as it gets. And this is one where this is a hospital ball.
That's exactly, I was just going to say it. That's exactly what it is. I don't know if people say that anymore or not. That's what I was brought up calling that kind of pass. It's one of those balls where Vontez Burfict is playing linebacker. You're really, really concerned. But no, that's tough, especially when you're a receiver. You're like, wait, you're going to throw me up there like that, hang me out to dry?
Yeah, you owe that guy a lot. I'll say you owe him a lunch at the cafeteria at home, but that was not the case. It was pretty much a case of beer anytime you did that, and they came out alive. So they make that play on 3rd and 6. So typically in a game that is maybe 10-0 or 7-6 or 10-7, you're punting this thing away. But game is in the balance right now. It is getting off the rails. And so Oregon has to go for it. And this one, Cody's probably still kicking himself because Ohio State mixes it up. And I'll explain that in a second. But pick six, easy. Like, this is an easy pick six. And he just drops it. It slips through his hands to force the 4-and-out.
Oh, yeah. He zipped it in there. Threw it through Cody, who's obviously not used to corralling passes that are thrown that hard. But it is something to say, like, look at that pressure yet again. Like, you get the twist over the top, but Sawyer's driving two guys back in the backfield and throwing his hands up. I wasn't a quarterback. It can't be easy dealing with that when you're trying to throw passes down, I think 17-0 at this point.
Dude, and also me and Dylan Gabriel the same height, so that says something, right? This is not Will Howard standing over top of people. That you have to, when you're small like we are, like, you have to look through things, and this is really uncomfortable. And Kevin, what was really impressive to me is that for the most part, I'd say there was a couple times where we got out of this, but I had talked about it after the Penn State game, like the importance for Ohio State's defensive line to rush with good integrity, meaning that they can't just pin their ears back and go and loop, because Gabriel is athletic enough that if you get him outside the pocket, he can make big plays. Maybe not so much with his feet, but he always runs and escapes with his eyes down the field. And like, this is perfect pass rush integrity. Like, jacked in his face. You got Ty looping around. Nope, there's no holes. You got stalemate here, stalemate there, just in case he does escape. This is as good as it gets, man.
Yeah, and the other thing, we're not going to go back to it, but I think Latham was coming up when he made that tackle and hit to be the QB spy, because you've seen it more than a couple times with us dropping back a D lineman, rushing 3, dropping 1, keeping 1 like right the line of scrimmage, just spying that quarterback to see if he squeaks out. And you look at both of our linebackers there; their eyes are directly on the quarterback. They're waiting to see if he's going to take off. They're leaning forward. I mean, because he has. Who is that? Is that Tez Johnson?
No, it's 14. This is Love. Who
Love? He has him over the middle there. Like, it would have been a tough pass, but you wait another half a second. Love is open past Sonny Styles there.
But the pass rush is what does it. And this is great. This was also good coverage. This tells me that Oregon was thinking that Ohio State was going to come out and play some kind of a man, because this is a man beating route, right? This is Ohio State runs this route where you get this crosser, then you get like a pick route here, just to kind of get in the way, and then you get some kind of a wheel on this side. But Ohio State does a great job zoning it off. Makes Dylan get off of his first read, has to get through it. And then he's like, oh shit, I got to make a play. Throws it. Should have been a pick six. Wasn't. We flip it over. One play, we run it, get 5 yards. And again, where are we at, Kev? We're in the shot zone, right? We're inside the between the 50 and the 40. This is unbelievable. I mean, this route here, I'll draw it up because they use, and they come back to a similar look later, but they use kind of a fake rollout to get all of the action going this way, to get action this way, action this way, action this way. And then Jeremiah runs right up the middle. Horrible drawing right there. Right up the middle. Fakes like he's going out to go with the flow, and then rips one right back across his face, and there's just nobody left. When you see this replay from the back end, it's cover 3, and it's like a loose cover 3, and that safety's like, number 5 there made the wrong call. I think that because it looked like the safety was almost man, but I think it was because that was his zone. When Jeremiah makes the move to lose him, and it's just this corner, number 5 on the front end he wasn't sound. He was I think he was kind of covering. I don't know why, if you expect is that 5 or 9 there? That was 9 there. So there was somebody.
5 should have been deep anyway. I think that was another MA. I think if you go back and watch this from an Oregon defensive coach's perspective, I think a lot of these touchdowns were on missed assignments.
Yeah.
But here's a great example of it. Will having the confidence, just dropping it in the bucket, never really breaks stride. Just great to see.
First of all, well done. Eyeing up cover 3. That's freaking beautiful, man. I love it. Watch your boy G Scott here. Just watch him right up the middle. I'm going to pause it when what I'm looking for here. Right there. Look at this. This is awesome.
Oh, he knew it.
He knows that ball's flying in the air. He's like, yep.
Well, when Jeremiah makes that move on the first touchdown, when you watch it I saw a clip of it from like the end zone he was running into, you see G go like this and turn around like he's Steph Curry after Klay Thompson shot a three. Like it's just so much fun to see these guys having a good time out there and winning football games.
Yeah. And I think the call from the Pat McAfee alternate broadcast was, oh shoot, Jeremiah's wide ass open down there, which was so good. So a really good, it's 3rd down 4 here, flipped it over. Now this game's well out of reach, 24-0. It's like, uh-oh. And here's what I talk about with that great pass rush discipline, that pass rush integrity. Look at this. Nobody's getting too far upfield. It's stalemate. And then Caden Curry, he does get outside of it. He breaks contain, but this is okay because you're breaking contain into nothing. And Curry closes and delivers they has to make a tough throw, incomplete. That's Caleb Downs on the coverage there on 3rd down. Just another great play.
Yeah, you can see Tyleek. This is that like pseudo QB spy I was talking about, where he's waiting for him to make a decision of which way he's going to run with it, and then he takes off full head of steam, takes a good angle, and is ready to go.
And then here we go. I kept it the high angle because you'll see why here in a second. But this is if we had it the way we wanted it to, folks at home, we'd have this angle all the time because here we go. This is Travion ending the absolute football game. We get a counter look where you get a little cross action back here, and then your guard pulling through, and then Travion goes exclamation point. This is kind of that super counter that they've been doing a little bit.
This is the first play of the game, or this is the first touchdown of the game, Anthony. This is the RPO, but he hands it off because you see Carnell there going, and I mean that's what he saw. Because look, this is the difference. If you go back a touch second. So that linebacker flows with Carnell over the top. He's like, all right, I can't get beat like this again. And because of that, they're down a guy. When you have Austin and Donovan pulling through, you're short one guy. And here's an example of it. You get the first guy in there. Austin is supposed to seal that defensive end, so that's why you see him crash all the way down. That's typical counter. Double T kind of misses a little bit here. But then the next thing is to clean up color with Donovan through the middle.
Dude, real quick before you finish this, watch Josh Fryer. To your point exactly. They use Carnell's basically a blocker, right, where he's pulling that guy. Josh doesn't have anybody to block. Watch him right here where my cursor. He's got nothing to block.
Right. At this point, ideally you'd want him to turn and run upfield, but he's just looking to clean up over the top. And then we've said it all year. I think the best thing that Travion has had for him is the addition of Quinshon because he hasn't had that wear and tear. And we're used to seeing these runs against Indiana week 4, against Illinois week 5. I mean, he's still got all that leg left in him for the whole year. And I mean, it's just been so much fun to see. Donovan whiffs a little bit, but he gets enough of, he runs away from 48. Poor guy looking like Nico Alonso there. Who was that? It was an Oregon linebacker that played for the Bills and played for the Eagles. I can't think of his name. I think it was Kiko Alonso or something.
Yeah. Kiko Alonso, yeah.
But yeah, so he cuts out. I mean, and then it's just off to the races. There's nothing else you can do about it.
There you go, man. Okay, so one play, right? One play produces two 40-plus yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
Same play.
That's 60. It's 65. It's a 65-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah, 60. Not to correct you. I think it was 66. But 66 and a 43-yarder, right? Two plays, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. And there you go, man. It's exactly what you've been saying. You execute well, and Coach Day in his post-game press conference said the same thing, right? Execution has been their theme. Execute, and they were doing that. And now now we're going 31-0. The game's over. I mean, you can't see it here. There's 8 minutes left to go in the second quarter. The game is legitimately over. Like it's done with. And now the Buckeyes are rolling, right? Here's a TFL where it's a party at the football. Then they try to run a screen. Jack says, no way, no how. He was awesome too. I mean, he was pretty spectacular. 2 tackles, two solo tackles. They were both sacks, and he had 3 pass breakups, which was awesome. That almost was a pick 6 right there.
Yeah.
And now the Bucks are starting to roll. Here you go again. Here's Quinshon. You talked about it earlier. He's kind of the hammer, right? Where Travion's got a little mix of strength and speed, where Quinshon just runs to punch you in the face.
Yeah, and Quinshon was dubbed as like the elusive guy. I think he took offense to that because he has been running through people's faces this year.
Yep. Even here, 5 yards after contact, 5 yards after first contact is pretty good.
Yeah.
But now the Bucks are starting to roll. You get that double pull. Quinshon goes through it. I put this in here because everybody, including myself, loves Carnell Tate. He doesn't get quite the shine that he probably wants, or frankly probably deserves, just because Jeremiah and Emeka are so good. But he gets a catch in this one, just a short little hitch route, punches it up the field, and gets Ohio State into scoring territory. Hey, shout out to our guy Jaden Fielding. A struggle of a year. But 2 field goals, 2 bombs, really. This 36-yarder would have been good from 90. I mean, he crushed it.
At this point in the game, me and my friends were like, let's just get inside the 50 and let Fielding get confidence. Like second and 7 from the 28. Let's bring out the field goal unit. Let's just give him all the confidence he needs to make as many field goals as he can.
I love it. I absolutely love it, and then it's just keep rolling, right? A minute to go before half. Now this was where things got interesting. All right, so it wasn't if Oregon was going to fight back, it was going to happen now. And this is how this drive starts. It's 2nd and 10. At this point, Gabriel's doing the spin around, and then Igbinosun lays him out. Like this is the Buckeyes swarming a little bit.
Yep, but Igbinosun was in charge of the spy on this route. On this play design. And what's funny is they're bringing the spy from everywhere.
Everywhere. This is a corner.
It's a corner coming in. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because is he supposed to be covering? Maybe he's supposed to be. It's like a weird spy zone thing where he's supposed to be covering maybe this flat guy who's back here in the pass protecting. So then he sees it as a green light and just green dog blitzes and comes over the top. I mean, and if we don't wrap him up there, I think Dylan Gabriel throws a shovel pass there, hits number 3, because I don't think Igbinosun is even looking at him.
Yeah.
And I think he probably gets like an 8-9 yard gain right there.
Yeah, no doubt. But like you said, it was an aggressive. They do everything aggressively, right?
Yep.
They do it at 100 mile an hour. And right now, Oregon could have just they may have thrown the towel in at this point already, but they certainly could have thrown the towel in, but they don't. And this is the middle 8. Is really important. The last 4 minutes of the first half, the first 4 minutes of the second half, and Oregon, frankly, executed them really, really well. They won the middle 8, and here's a big reason why. Gabriel, this is good protection up front. This is one where the Buckeyes, they try to push the pocket, they just don't. Right, you can't win them all. And Gabriel sits in there and finds Trayshawn Holden. Remember, this is the kid who spit in Igbinosun's face and got kicked out of the first game. And again, to your point, a good ball this time, and he catches it, makes Latham miss, cuts back, makes Hancock miss, and then now you're inside the 20, and you're like, okay, not that it was nervy quite yet, but it was like, all right, here we go. Ohio State's got to get out of this. And then on 3rd down, 3rd and 1, a nice little choice route. Sonny, it was just a step late.
Yeah.
Just a step late on this one. They complete it. And now this is what I mean. Look at this. Like,
this is another one where I'm like, oh,
holy shit. Excuse me.
Kill him.
Like he spins off of it and Lathan just lays him out. It's a big hit. I included the time here. You can see it right below. Only 3 seconds to go. So this last play of the half, this has got to have it for Oregon. And Gabriel makes something happen. Here you go. This is what I talked about. When he scrambles, he does so with his eyes downfield, delivers one, Holden makes the catch. Actually,
I think that's their first passing touchdown given up since
Dylan
last time. Oregon's the only team. Are they the only team this year to get a passing touchdown on us?
I'm not sure of that number. You're certainly correct of that. Yeah. The last passing touchdown was Dylan Gabriel until Dylan Gabriel again. So we go to the second half here. So it's 34-8, and this is the point where it could start to get potentially a little nervy, if you will. And Oregon, to their credit, does a really nice job. But it doesn't start that way. They started on the ground. Tyleik Williams, just a glass eater, man, inside. Destroys his block, gets home, makes a TFL, and then Jack answers it up with a great pass rush, gets right through the right tackle and gobbles up Gabriel. And now for the Buckeyes, they're feeling it, right? All right, we get off the field here. Now it could be a party for the next 2 hours. Instead, Gabriel drops back the pass. This was the one that sticks out to me. If there's any of the game that I would have something to say about, it's this one from Jack Sawyer, because it feels like to me he tries to go and make a huge play, goes on a spin move and loses contain, and then Ty Hamilton can't get outside quite far enough.
Yep.
And it pushes everything back in. And now this is where Gabriel's really dangerous, because he's scrambling, and then bang, delivers a perfect shot downfield.
Yep. And he delivers a really, really good shot here. I mean, that's the only way to put it. This wide receiver on the run, it's a little high, but this receiver didn't make the first down. I don't remember if they got the first, if they went for it here or not.
They did. It ended up being 4th down, so they gave him 4th and inches, and I think they either QB sneaked it, or no, this was the one where they ran a read option, and Caleb Downs had him kind of squared up, and then squeaked through.
Forward. Yep, I know what you mean.
So they move it, and now here we go. Now that they're starting to roll just a touch. This was really good. I thought you can see it at the bottom of your screen. Right here was where the route gets completed. It's just a post route inside, but you're going to watch the receiver win right off the line. It's Holden again. He wins right off the line. Igbenogson tries to punch him, and he misses. And now he's way off balance. He's leaning forward. You can see him leaning forward, and now he's done for. All right. So then you got Latham playing that catch coverage, and they don't do it quite well enough. Gabriel again. Exactly what you said the last time, dude. This is a great ball, but this isn't comfortable for a quarterback. I'll just tell you that right now. Like, look at where the line of scrimmage is, man. This is
right.
Good.
That's not a pocket. I mean, there's no worse feeling than to be that whoever is at Houston driving that guard back. Like, you're screaming, throw the ball right now, because you know that you're about to get absolutely thrown into him.
Yeah.
And he does. I remember Jamarco Jones telling that story when we were playing Penn State. He was getting run back like that. He's like, JT, throw the effing ball. And he completed it for a touchdown, I think. But it was you can see it. He's getting his hands to the face, all that. But I remember him telling that story, and I was laughing.
That's funny. That's really good stuff. So good completion there, and then the Ducks get pretty lucky here. So this is a big one that pushes them into the low red zone, and it goes to Ferguson. So if you've seen it on social media, I'm sure you have if you're watching us here. But he goes across on this what's supposed to be a slide or some kind of a protection, and he actually trips. You'll see him trip right there, and it stops his momentum, stops his route, and then he gets actually inside of Sonny Styles, and Styles can't do anything about it, and it leads to a 30-yard gain.
Yep. There's two things. Latham just misses the punch here, which he's been really good at all year. And second thing is, I think it's very silly that if your helmet pops off, like in the NFL, you don't have to come off, but you have to in college. I don't understand that rule. It makes absolutely zero sense to me.
Yeah.
And he might have even gotten the punch. It was just Ferguson was too strong. You hit him on the hand.
Yeah.
Instead of hitting the tail end of the ball, which is where you want to. Let me see if I can get it here. You want to hit him in here. You don't want to hit him down here. And that's where he just missed.
Yeah, just hardly misses, and sometimes that happens. So this is where it's starting to feel a little bit different. Okay, now it's 34-15, and the Ducks go and score on 2 straight drives. They needed some magic to make it happen. 2 huge 3rd down conversions, but now is when it gets. Just if there was a nervy point in the game, it was right now, because Ohio State answers by going 3 and out. Okay, immediately go 3 and out, and watch the Oregon. Talk about belief. Watch the Oregon sidelines here. Like, all right, they think that all right, here we go. Yeah, they're back in this, and it's really important, man, to just snuff it out right now, because if you can force a 3, there was not enough time left. That big touchdown drive took a ton of time. So Oregon was going to have to be perfect. They were going to need 3 more scores and hold Ohio State to no points. So it's going to have to be a perfect half. So what do? Jack Sawyer gets it going. They needed a big play. They get it from 33. He was awesome. He continues to chase, gets a big sack. and they need it. And then guess what? Here comes Cody. Here's your spy, dude. Because you get a 3-man rush, you drop 8 in the coverage. I'm not a fan of this often because zones can be picked apart, but you drop 8, and Jack gets good initial pressure, which is critical, and then Cody finishes it off.
Yeah, and Dylan Gabriel, he just holds onto the ball for a long period of time. I know that's been his kind of knock since he's been in college. At UCF, then again at Oklahoma, I mean, he bounces
back when we were in school.
He holds on to it a long time. It's hard for an offensive line to deal with that. And then, he's like, I'm looking downfield, but then Cody's rushing right at his face. What are you going to do with it?
It's really good spy by Cody, and just a really nice, really well executed play. Good rush, good coverage on the back end, and then Cody finishes it off. If you weren't here the first time I said it, Cody, 11 tackles, 7 solos, 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, 1 PBU. Special out of him. And then now it's party time. All right, now it is truly the game's pretty much over, and it felt that way. Here was the drive that ended it all. A kind of a similar look to the big touchdown where Ohio State's trying to move everything out left, and then they flip his hips. This one was crazy to me because this is a dumb play concept, in my opinion, to roll left and then throw this all the way back right. But Will puts a perfect ball out there, and Jeremiah, I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke.
It really is. You see at the beginning of this. Oh, well, you'll see it twice. Once, go to the top of the play. Double T is a little slow off the ball here. Trega is a little slow off the ball here, and Hinsman steps on his foot and trips him, which is what's tough. You want to get, when you're pulling like that as a guard, you want to be a little bit behind the center, and you want your first step to be that opening step. Hinsman immediately steps across because it looks like that's like basically a head up on the guard, a 2 technique. Mm-hmm. And he was a little slow coming out of there. And then if you watch the play keep going, the rest of the protection's great, other than Hinsman is trying. And that if that D lineman doesn't spin back, Hinsman maybe not the best. Watch Coach Fry here in the black on the sideline. Unbelievable. We can talk about his catches all day, but you can see he is not very happy with Double T. It gets cut off, but they kept the camera there for a while, and he was livid, to say the least.
Wait, when you see the coach go like this, put his microphone on.
Yeah.
You know.
Just look at, that's something out of a sitcom. Like, are you serious right now? Like that. It's great being able to watch this game and like reacting to the sidelines like that. Mm. That's how well in hand we had this game. Logan Hiddle throwing up 4 in the top in the corner right there on the left. Shout out Logan, walk on with me at Ohio State. But yeah, no, it was just fun.
It was awesome. And then Travion ends it. A cool play concept here. You bring Kaczmarek in motion. He's an extra hat inside. And that's one hell of a wall right there, man. And then,
number 4 looks like he's like, or 7 is like, I'm done. I'm done with this game. Yep. He immediately turns around and runs backwards. He's just stumbling. Kaczmarek gets one more hit. I like to call him Costanza. Because is 89 Kaczmarek?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Bennett Christian was the first 85 who sealed it off. And then if you go back a little bit, this is just I'm tired of you. I'm bigger than you. I'm better than you. Watch him clip this D tackle.
Yep. Right there.
See ya. Sit down.
And thanks for playing. You go down, and then 7, you get 1 too, and let's party.
And he jumps into that was a blast.
It's awesome. We'll fly through these last couple here. Here's Lathan Ransom making a sack. I mean, just coming in bad out of hell, like you said. Here he is right here. And he just blitzes, gets that green dog action, flies in there, bang, works around, sack on the play. On 3rd down. Quinshawn follows Brandon. I love when Brandon Ennis gets in. This guy loves Ohio State football, and he doesn't do anything here, but it was good to see him, and he just totally misses everything. But
it's all right. Hey, you know what? He took up 2 guys who were waiting to brace for impact with him.
Yeah.
Him ready to hit him.
Yeah.
And he does the little iron cross there, gets a little piece of just enough of both. And Quinshawn with a great run up the sideline.
Great run. Bring Trey in motion, flip it to him. He goes for another big one. Technically a catch, but big one there. And then Cody, oh no. Oh shoot, I flipped out of it. But that was the last play. I can't get back to it without going back in. So just an awesome from start to finish, crazy game for Ohio State fans. Let's read some stats here real quick. Will Howard, 17 to 26, 319 and 3 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, 8 carries, 94 yards, 2 scores. Quinshon, 17 carries for 85 yards, good for 5 a pop. So definitely more of the workload, but still super productive. Jeremiah Smith, 7 catches, 187 and 2. Emeka, 5 for 72 and 1. G, 1 for 30. Trey, 3 for 20. Carnell Tate, 1 for 10. Cody, we already ripped that off. Let's see. Sack getters, Lathan had 1. JT had 2. And Jack had 2. So pretty impressive start to finish all across the board, man. It was fun.
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to see how many touchdowns given up, and they don't have that on here. I mean, just looking at the last 2 games of Tennessee and Oregon, I mean, how many yards total?
For who? Because Jeremiah had 209 through the 2 games, 290 total yards against 2 of the best defenses allegedly in the country.
No, I mean, like, the other thing is, like, we've combined over 2 games 104 yards of tackle for loss. We've caused them to lose 104 yards over 2 games. Like, that's a full length of the field. I mean, that's just the tackle for losses are so, like, I mean, only time we had more was Indiana when we had 73 yards. But I mean, like, the first Oregon game, we had 2 tackle for losses for a total of 3 yards.
Yeah.
This time we had 13 tackle for losses for a total of 63 yards. That's kind of the difference. 8 sacks for a total of 56 yards per sack, and we had 0 sacks the first game. 0 fumbles, 0 INTs. We forced a fumble, but they got it. Oh, no, 0 across the board there too. But first Oregon game, we had 5 pass breakups. This time we had 9. I mean, we had 38 total tackles versus 31 last time. It's just a different game all around. The question I have to ask is, did playing that extra game against Tennessee give us extra confidence against Oregon? Because you saw it against some of these teams. Like, Notre Dame went into Georgia after dominating Indiana and won. I mean, Texas played Clemson and almost lost it, and then again almost lost to Arizona State, but that's different. But, like, look at Georgia, look at Oregon. They haven't played since December 7th, and that's kind of common. That's common for teams that are for the CFP, but the difference is it used to be both teams hadn't played since the 7th, so both of them looked rusty. Now one team has played a game in that time frame. They've played a game. It adds a level of I don't know the right terminology. It adds a level of risk with the extra game being played, but it also it lets you stay used to playing in a football game. It keeps your stamina up. It keeps your conditioning up. That's just what it does.
It's a really interesting conversation. It's never been more evident when you have to take 3 weeks off as opposed to, whatever the other guys, and then playing a team that's fresh, because you hear it a lot in the NFL where we'll see it today and tomorrow, where teams will rest all their guys. The teams that are into the playoffs, they're going to rest a lot of their starters, and that's a 7-week or a 7-day layoff, right? Not a huge deal, 2 week or whatever, 1 week off. But this is pretty significant, and it certainly opens the conversation up to, like, how much of an advantage is winning your conference championship? Because, hey, we're seeing Exhibit A right now. Penn State strolls, dances to the semifinal, whereas Oregon won the Big Ten. If Oregon would have lost that game, they would be in the semifinal playing Notre Dame as opposed to getting boat raced by Ohio State. I mean, they got to change it a little bit.
There's a lot of stuff. They got to do reseeding. They got to give the first 4 teams the bye and go from there. The other option is, that's the hard part is you saw 2 teams that got a bye and didn't play well, but they also, like, Arizona State was better than I thought, but Boise State was just out of its bridges. It was out of everything, and that's just kind of the thing. And it's like there's one that isn't the same in that top. There's two that aren't the same, but one of those two is way different than the other one, and that's where the difference is of having to and that's where you got to reseed after the first round too. Like it shouldn't have been. We should have been playing. I don't even know who we would have played. Boise or Arizona State.
One of the two, yeah.
One of the two. Like that's how it should have gone down. I think it's fair to everybody. It's fair because then the other thing is like, Ohio State, like and Tennessee both were able to prepare for their opponent and Oregon, where Oregon had prepared for either, and they didn't know which one they were going to get.
Good point.
And that's where the difference kind of lies. So that's where I think reseeding levels the playing field a little bit, and it makes it worth it to be the number 1 seed so that you don't have to face the buzzsaw that is the 8 or 9 who are both good teams because they're both going to be at larges.
Yeah, you make a ton of good points there, man, because there's a lot that needs to get fixed, and I'm certain that they will because they're easy changes, and it'll just make this playoff better because, frankly, while the games maybe not have been so competitive to this point, you have a Final Four that's pretty sweet. You got Ohio State versus Texas and then Notre Dame versus Penn State, and you got there by letting the players decide. The play on the field has determined this year's Final Four, which is super exciting. So, Kev, we won't dive into too much detail, but you get a couple minutes to talk about Ohio State versus Texas. I know everybody is anti-Texas, and I certainly fall into that category. So I'm fired up for this matchup.
I am too. I got a good friend who went to Texas. We'll see if she decides to say anything to me over the next 10 days, either cordially or trying to talk a little.
Or otherwise,
but it'll be interesting to see what we choose to do from a standpoint of this defensive line is different than what we've seen so far this year. They're quicker, they're smaller and quicker as opposed to bigger and I mean like the team up north and Oregon and Tennessee have the bigger, stronger offensive linemen that are going to stalemate with you and hopefully make an arm tackle, whereas Tech's is a little bit sleeker, more athletic, trying to jump around guys. So we'll see how we utilize that. I think it'll be interesting to see how we come at that. And then they play hard-nosed defense. I haven't been super impressed with Texas's offense, but they've been a very impressive defense. And I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, they obviously have some holes. They aren't the greatest tacklers, but they're always around it. Like you saw Scatterbo, either of the two. He broke, got to be near like 35, 40 tackles, where it was, and that might just be him. But like, if you're going to try and arm tackle guys, that's what's going to happen. And it'll be interesting to see how our team plays against them because I think that's a point that they're going to make. And who's their head coach?
Sark.
Sark is playing them up as the underdog, which a lot of the country is, but from Ohio State standpoint, we don't care who we're playing. We don't care if we're the favorite. We're going out there to beat their brakes off. We're going to go out there to punch them in the mouth on defense. We're going to go out there, hit him over the top with Jeremiah. If they're going to triple cover Jeremiah, hit Mbuka. Oh, you're going to cover him? We got this tight end named G. Scott, who's the most unsung, heard of weapon in college football right now. And then you got Carnell, Tate, you got Ennis, you have Henderson or Quinshawn out of the backfield. I mean, I'm excited. And then we play them again in like week 2 or week 1 next year.
Week 1. This is a week 1.
It'll be fun to watch. They obviously took their foot off the pedal against Arizona State. And I don't know if it's like an adjustment thing, but they did lose to Oregon, or they did lose to Georgia. They lost to, was it Georgia twice?
Or they lost to Georgia twice. So they got boat race the first time, and then they lost in double overtime. Yeah. It'll
be interesting. I'm excited to kind of dive in and look at this team more in depth, look at some of the stuff I've seen. I mean, I watched most of their game against Arizona State. That's about it. I think I watched like a quarter and a half of their game at the beginning of the year against Team Up North, and that was nothing. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens.
It's going to be fun. And another element to the game too is it's obviously in Jerry's World in Arlington, so it's going to feel like potentially like a home game for Texas, right? It's basically, I don't know, a few hours away from Austin, so there's that element to it too. But as we saw on Wednesday, and we've seen every week, every year, Ohio State travels so well, and it'll be an incredible atmosphere for sure. So leading up to the game, the game is actually Friday, so make sure you know that it is a Friday. College football smartly is not going to compete with the NFL playoffs, which is a good move. So semifinal 1 is on Thursday night. That's Notre Dame versus Penn State. Semifinal 2, Ohio State versus Texas, will be on Friday night. So we got a ton of content planned for you. So we got about a week or so. So we'll be back tomorrow with a shorter show, just kind of previewing the entire semifinal. And then Kevin and I will be back with you on Monday, looking at Ohio State's offense versus the Texas defense. Then we'll also have the defensive preview later in the week, and then we'll be down. We got boots on the ground. Brendan will be on site on Wednesday night. I'll be getting there late on Thursday, and we'll be there all day Friday for the game. So we got plenty of content lined up for you guys. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the follow button on Twitter, all of the things, because we'll have a ton of content for you. Also, head over to our site. It's going to scroll right below us here on the ticker, si.com/college/Ohio State. Our team is working really hard to make sure you got plenty of content as you get set for the college football playoff semifinal. Certainly, we're fired up about it here. So, Kev, before we get out of here, any final thoughts? We got a big weekend ahead. We got NFL. What do you got going on? What do you? Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Brown season's thankfully almost over.
It's over. We made it.
Child, I don't want to get into it. No, I'm excited to also watch the Penn State Notre Dame game, because the battle of two teams that everyone says can't win the big one. So is it going to end in a tie?
It's going to end in a tie. People are saying.
But no, I think it'll be a great Thursday night. I am a little, I don't know if concerned. They get an extra day of prep, which is
that's
tough,
true.
But I think that's a little misguided by the committee. But that's their call. I hope the committee gets blown up, truthfully.
Yeah.
I mean, their top 4 seeds were nobodies. They all sit there in suits watching a game in a hotel room who probably have never stepped foot on a football field. I think it should be a mix of former players, diehard fans. There should be nachos everywhere. There should be wings. There should be wings everywhere. Like, I want football people watching and evaluating this. And that's what I want from this committee. We'll never get it, because it's all just one giant sham. It's like being on a board. But it's all I want is give me some, even if it's just one guy, just give me one guy whose his BMI is way out of whack, and he's got a jumbo slurp from 7-Eleven
in one hand,
Diet Coke in it, and he's got a bucket of buffalo wings in his other hand. And it's just like everyone else looks good, and then it pans to him, and it's like that's the guy who should be making the hard decisions the entire time.
He's who we trust.
Yep, that's the guy we trust, 100%.
All our faith in that guy. I love it. I absolutely love it. So we'll certainly. It just came to my head. We'll fire up a Kevin Solves college football show for after the season. So we'll make sure we get that all dialed up. But no, certainly appreciate everybody jumping in this morning. Hopefully this was a great appetizer for college basketball is rolling right now. We got a bowl game going on right now. We got NFL kicking off at 4:00. Then we got NFL all day tomorrow, and then the semifinal week. It's going to be a whole ton of fun for everybody here. So thank you for choosing to stop by with us. If you make us a part of your Buckeye content, we definitely appreciate it. So we'll get out of here on that. The Ohio State Buckeyes, huge winners in the Rose Bowl, 41-21. They got the Texas Longhorns up next. For my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.